see if raise
May you see what?
Raise of hand.
Janis Joplin. Okay, good. Um, there was a song, Me and Bobby McGee, that she made famous back, I think, late 60s. And there's a line from that song, which is freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. So this friend of mine asked me, he says, do you think that had anything to do with Zen? And so I didn't really have an answer. I'd never thought about it. But through the next couple of weeks, every now and then, the line would come up to me, and it would be the question, just what is freedom? Right? It planted this seed in me that raised this question about what is freedom. And I thought that not only for my own personal exploration, that it might also be a good question for a practice circle. What is freedom? And I also decided that it might be fun to make it the subject of a talk. Now, freedom, one of the biggest problems with freedom is the activity of the mind. And there's this story, I've mentioned this story before, but it might be a good example of what I'm talking about. And the story is about this Manhattan businessman, and he's got a really nice suit on and a beautiful tie, and he's heading to the office. And as he's walking along, a woman is coming from the other direction. And her hair's all messed up. She's got torn dungarees, a dirty sweatshirt, and she's singing out loud. And as she got closer, this guy started to feel really uncomfortable. And to the point where eventually he crossed the street. He didn't want to encounter her. So you could say that he really wasn't free, right? His mind had confined his experience to a certain group of thoughts, which led to him crossing the street. And the truth of the story is that she was a well-known Broadway actress who was part of a garden that was created downtown. And so she had been down there in the morning and she was working. And then on the way back, I guess she was singing one of the songs from the show. So he was not free to experience her totally. It immediately his mind put her in this little box that she was a homeless woman, probably dangerous. Now, our mind does this all the time. And every time it does it, it takes away a certain amount of freedom. We become less open-minded, which is a form of freedom. So if we ask the question, what's freedom? There are generally two ways to answer that. And one is the conventional way, and that's the way that most of us are familiar with. And the conventional answer would be that freedom is about becoming free of something, an unpleasant job, a bad relationship, an illness, a seemingly unbearable responsibility, or emotions like fear, hatred, anger, anxiety, shame. We would like to be free of any number of these things. So from this point of view, freedom is a concept. It's a definition which is quite distant from the experience of freedom. Freedom that I'm going to describe in a particular way. This isn't throwing out the idea that there are things that we would like to be rid of. But the second point of view goes much deeper into freedom. So as I was about to say, for the point of view is the point of view that I gave is based on a concept, a definition which is quite distant from the experience of freedom, from a more deep experience of freedom. And the idea of freedom is based on, as all associations and perceptions and preconceptions and projections that we have about what freedom is. Right? So once our mind gets to work like that and it stops being an open mind, and again, creating a box, we're not going to be able to experience a more deep experience of freedom. So, and also the other thing about the conventional answer is that it creates a duality, that there is something that we must be free from and ourselves. And that's a duality. Me and the experience that I want to be free of, me and whatever it is that I want to be free of. So now the other way, and these are just my own labels, freedom is an unconventional way. And it's the way of a still mind, a mind that's not creating boxes. So one of my favorite poets, this is a line from him, which I've used many times over the years, but I love just reading it. But I think also that it's an expression of the deeper understanding of freedom. Sitting quietly doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. Sitting quietly, doing nothing, spring comes and the grass grows by itself. Spring and grass are not hindered by anything. Just grass, just spring, just growing. Nothing extra, no boxes. That's it as it is. And also, spring and grass don't have any idea of freedom. Now, there's most of you have probably heard of this fellow, but and it's not Suzuki Roshi from San Francisco Zen Center. It's D.T. Suzuki, and he's dead now, but he was a famous essayist, philosopher, religious scholar of Buddhism, and a translator from Japanese. And he must have written at least 10 books on Zen. So I'm going to just mention something that he talked about. And he talked about children and their inherent freedom. He says, as very young children, we are naturally authentic communicators and conversationalists. But then somewhere down the road, we began to be guided away from natural human talent as a shift occurred in our education that emphasized the correct answer and demanded formal speech that did not encourage engagement and dissuaded our true personalities from coming out, lest we run the risk of ridicule. Now, Bernie has something, when he said this, it's a perfect expression of how to be open to freedom. And he says that a question has much more freedom than answers. So he always encourages, when entering into a situation and a part of bearing witness, that don't start off looking for answers. Start off with a question with no motive, just a question. See something, what is that? But the question makes it free. If you think about it, there's much more space in a room if somebody asks a question than if they provide an answer. Now, that doesn't mean answers aren't valuable. When I'm talking about the place to start with a free mind, an open mind. Now, the inherent freedom that D.T. Suzuki refers to, I would call freedomless freedom. No idea of freedom, just direct experience expressed through play. Children this age engage in the world with delight, with no thought of being free to do so. And they also have no sense of separation from the world in which they are engaged. A child this age has what we call in Zen an original mind. It is the mind that is unfettered by conventions, by convention, concepts, and compartmentalizing. Now, I don't know if you're a parent or you have grandchildren or you were a teacher or you just hung out and watched kids at the playground. But this expression of freedom that very young kids have is really beautiful. It's really inspiring to see how free kids are. And I wonder how many of you remember that freedom? So, this mind of a young child expresses naturalness, creativity, boundless energy, and at oneness. Children know their face before their mother was born, right? That's a famous poem. What was your face before your mother was born? And children of this age would be able to respond to that question. Whereas one of us will probably sit in the Dyson room for years trying to respond with a mind that's free. 14th century Chinese mountain poet Stonehouse wrote the following poem. Stripped of conditions, my mind is at rest. Emptied of existence, my nature is at peace. How often at night have my windows turned white as the moon and stream past my door? How beautiful freedom, just life unfolding as it is. So when the mind is still, it's unencumbered by thoughts. And all that's left is a full engagement with life. This is the mind that doesn't know. And I don't remember anymore who the teacher was, but he would always say, maybe it was Suzuki, Roshi, but he would always say, keep your don't know mind, right? That's a mind that's free, wide open. So a mind that's still is a mind that is free to bear witness to the suffering of others, to see and hear, feel it directly, so we can act appropriately, right? That's an open mind. That's a free mind. We're free to see the situation in all its ingredients before we act. So our action comes out of freedom, comes out of an open mind. So one more poem from Stonehouse. 100 years slip by unnoticed. 84,000 cares dissolve in stillness. A mountain image shimmers on sunlit water. Snowflakes swirl above a glowing stove. Zazen is the practice of being free. Thank you.